second is a submission of the 15-16 state food purchase grant. This is a 5-year grant that we're involved in. It runs from 2011 to 2016. The part that you're signing today is just for our 15-16 plan. We don't know how much money we'll get yet until probably July, August timeframe. But when we do receive that money, we'll use it to purchase food, which will be distributed by the Cumberland food banks.
Wendy, have we gotten that in the past? Range?
150,000, maybe, I'm being told.
Okay.
Are there any other questions, Colleen? Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
Next, Lynette is here to discuss the following agreements between Claremont and Homestead Senior Care, McCann School of Business and Technology, PAC, and Online Publishing Bank. Lynette?
Yes, the first one is a home health care agency that one of our residents is in need of using for additional care in our facility. And so for that home health agency to come into our facility, we need this contract. There's no cost because the client or the resident herself is paying for all of the cost of care. So there is no cost, but it is to do business within our facility. The second one is the McCann School of Business and Technology. We have the opportunity to have 1 or 2 students from McCann this summer to work in the medical records area and the unit secretary area. There's no cost, but it's both giving us additional training, labor, as well as giving them the opportunity in a real live medical facility to be trained. We are, they have done this before. I'm not sure how many years ago it has been. The HAC is the contract that can be renewed up to 5 years. This is for the HAC's CNA class to be able to be using our facility, and this is the 5-year contract. The previous 5-year contract is closing now soon. I think it's in July, and this would be the renewal, or actually a new contract for the next potential 5 years.
So does the clinical experience count towards credit at HAC?
Yeah, it's their accredited
curriculum.
That is correct.
Lynette, on this one, I know we've been coming up pretty dry in terms of qualified recruits recently. Any chance of that improving?
We have a couple, and on Tuesday at the CNRC board meeting, Liz primarily will be presenting an alternative or a suggestion of what we would like to recommend to improve some of the feedback coming into our facility, and that will be on Tuesdays. But this is just to allow it to occur in our facilities. The fourth one is online publisher. That is a Veterans Expo and Job Fair. It would be setting up a booth in the Canfield area on August 20th for $450. At this point, we'll just be marketing per se, but at the same time, it is a job fair as well. So the attempt would be to have kind of a mixed table, both on employment and also the marketing of the facility. Any questions?
Really quick on this, the McCann School. Externship, is that their term?
That's their term.
It's an internship.
It's intern in ours, but it's external to them, and it's
Probably paid somebody a lot of money to come up with that.
But whoever the student is, essentially they will be receiving some kind of grade or some kind of certification as a result of working with us.
that is correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Lynette. Next, I'll call on Dunlop to discuss the agreement with Fayetteville Contractors, Inc., addendum with action requested today. John?
Yes, Commissioners. This is an addendum request for a change order for Fayetteville Contractors, who are the paving contractors doing the old jail paving. And this is for cleaning and sealing the cracks and also providing Petra tack over top of the cracks to make the finished coat last a lot longer. And I'm requesting action today because the project's in full swing. It's being held up because of the rain that wasn't supposed to be here today.
I think everyone received the background information on it, and I will move to authorize the change order. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you,
Hey,
John.
John, before you leave, both myself and my Honda Civic, thank you very much for even parking that down everywhere. It's a much more pleasant
Yes.
driving experience.
Yes,
Thank you.
we've had a lot of positive comments.
Okay, next, Elizabeth is here to discuss ratifying the contract for the Early Intervention Program DCED funds. Elizabeth?
Morning, this is just to sign off on the grant that we received for DCD to help with the pay for performance initiatives that we're doing. I believe it's a $3,500 grant, there's no match. So sign off on that and everyone makes the funds.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Next, I'd like to call on Mark Adams, who will be discussing the Oracle renewal agreement. Mark?
Good morning, Commissioners. We have a renewal for some software through Oracle for our finance office. It's called Crystal Wall. I'm sure you've heard of it as part of production software. We typically renew it. It's only $92.25. We renewed it through a purchase order like normal. The vendor came back and asked us, oh, by the way, will you sign this support agreement? So that's what's in front of you today, just the support agreement to fulfill this purchase.
As the solicitor said.
That's acceptable.
Thank you, Mark. Next, I'd like to call on Bob Shively to discuss the submission of the grant application to PEMA for Hazardous Material Response Fund with action requested today. Bob?
Hi. Requesting your review and approval for submission of our annual application for the 2015-2016 Hazardous Materials Response Fund. We did receive the application packet from PEMA April 1st with 30 days to turn around. We have to give Finance Department's analysis of interest. It goes to the Treasurer's Office then for certification of all of our hazmat costs from the previous year, and then it has to be run through LEPC with signature from our LEPC chair. So to all that could occur is about 30 days, and then as it makes its way to the meeting agenda, the deadline is officially May 8th. So we are requesting action today. We had submitted the packet with the base information to PEMA on May 1st so they could start on it, and they granted us extension until we could get the signatures through the regular meetings. So that's why we're here today. We didn't want to wait until next week if we could.
I will still move for the grant application to FEMA for the Hazardous Material Response Fund. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Sandy. Item number 4, discussion, resolution 2015-11, budget adjustment, Dana. Please.
MHWD is requesting to increase revenues and expenses by $3,250 for an aging IDD grant, and all of this funding is for lunch and learn staff training for topics that are relevant to the aging IDD population. And aging is increasing revenues by $26,638, and actually this should say lowering expenses by $58,648 to adjust the revised, incorrect, it is still increased. To adjust the revised 14-15 state budget, it's a decrease in the fund balance of $32,010, and there's no impact to the general fund.
Any questions for Dana? Thanks, Dana. Do we have Kirk?
Well, we can either do a phone call to Kirk, or we can try to connect to him with video conference. If you got 30 seconds, we can try video conference.
I think he kind of wanted to do the video conferencing.
Yeah, 30 seconds and then we'll go. Use your remote.
There he is. Kirk, can you hear us? All right.
Through the miracle of modern science. Thanks, Terry. Good job. We're hoping this works. Kirk, item number 5, discussion of reimbursement agreement number 08A152, Worsbridge T-618 project, part 1 preliminary engineering time extension.
Sure, Commissioners, this is really administrative. We need a time extension through the end of the year for Worsbridge on our preliminary engineering. The cause of the delay for this piece is a mussel survey we have to do. There's an endangered mussel that's in the stream that we have to relocate, and there's only a certain number of folks that can do the relocation and a certain time frame in which we can do the relocation. So we need a little bit of a time extension to do that. The good news, though, is it does not impact the overall schedule for our project. So we'll get this taken care of, get it out of the way, and move ahead. We're still on track for final design and construction of the project.
So Kirk, is this a species of mussel, or is it a particular mussel family, or what?
It's a species of mussel, and really the way they go in, they survey them, and actually they have folks that go in the water, pick them out of the water, and relocate them downstream.
And there's a specialist for that function.
That's correct.
Are these folks that work at the Department of Environmental Protection that do this, or which agency of state government is in the creek transferring the mussels? I was curious about that.
Yeah, actually,
Or DCNR, I'm not sure. Go ahead, Kirk, I'm sorry.
It's a subcontractor as part of the project who'll do the work. The requirements coming through, Fish and Boat Commission, Department of Environmental Protection, requiring us to take a look at the mussels and make sure that our bridge project doesn't have a negative impact upon it.
Okay, all right. And can you tell me how much this is going to cost us, or do we know?
You have to get back to you on that, Jim, on the cost.
Okay, I'd be curious.
Sure.
Okay. But I'm glad to hear it's not going to hold up the project in terms of final construction. Because that's a critically important bridge project in our county, and it needs to move forward expeditiously. So, thanks, Kirk.
And Kirk, will these subcontractors vouch for the safety of the mussels so that they don't wind up in somebody's paella? I'll take that as a
yes.
yes.
They're moved downstream, they'll be safe and happy in their room.
All right, thanks. Thank you, Kirk. Any questions, comments for Kirk?
Glad you could beam in today.
Nice use of technology, Kirk. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 6, Annette McCullough, discussion of CNRC Medicare cost report.
The Medicare cost report is due by June 1st, and it has been prepared like it's been the last couple of years by Peggy and Gregory. It is ready for your signature. This is basically the same data and the same information that you would have signed last month for Medicaid cost report. This is the Medicare cost report. Any questions?
Thank you, Lynette. I'd like to call on Justin Smith for capital project request, pictometry 2016-GIS.
Good morning, Commissioners. I was down at the Planning Commission meetings earlier this morning with Kirk. You didn't tell me about these.
You have to be.
3-month session, I would have taken advantage of that too. Anyway, so this is a capital project request for pictometry. We've had a pictometry flight in 2008 and 2012, and this is a request for a 2016 spring flight. Pictometry is heavily used in the assessment office for off-site verification of building and properties. The contract includes a 3-inch urban flight and a 9-inch rural flight. We will be getting orthophotography, which is the top-down imagery, which people normally associate with maps. Also, 4 directional obliques, so it'll be a 45-degree angle from the north, south, east, and west. We'll also be getting software that is being used in assessment and that we use on our property mapper online, so that people can view this imagery. The cost is $269,000 with a $22,000 due at signing and 3 payments that will be paid on the anniversary of the initial delivery of the product.
And I'm sorry, Justin, did you mention a price tag on this?
Yes.
269,000.
269,000, which is cheaper than what we paid in 2012.
Great. Thank you.
I'm glad to hear it's cheaper. Is this budgeted in our budget?
It is, it's not budgeted under my office, no.
Okay, so,
This,
go ahead.
1 year of it will be moved out of the capital reserve and put in, but it's a capital lease rental. So it'll be paid as you go, so it'll be split over the 3 years.
Now, have we examined all the anticipated capital expenditures that we plan to make out of that pot of money that's for capital expenditures?
Yes.
The 2012 flight is still being paid for, so we have been paying almost the same cost, this $89,000 annually since 2008.
Okay. Could I get a listing of all of the anticipated capital expenditures that we have that are expected here over the next several years, or including this one?
Okay, when we put together the budget, we'll get a 10-year plan, updated plan from John. We have one as of last year.
Okay.
IT also puts together a plan, and they'll be doing that with the budget.
I'd
We're gonna wait for
like to
updated
see a
one.
listing of these individual, expenditures that we're planning to make.
Well, I have
this-
the 10-year
this-
plan.
This is in the budget.
I have a copy of the current
This
10-year
is in the
plan.
budget.
I have the budget one. We'll have an
It's like
updated one in a few
lunch
months.
machines,
Okay.
so.
Now, when you say 3 inches, does that mean, in other words, everybody, what time, when are they gonna take these pictures? You know?
Spring 2016. And we have a stipulation that will be less than 30% leaf coverage when they fly. They flew in 2012, and they couldn't fly spring 2012 because it was too nice. Actually, the spring got here too quickly for them. There was too much leaf coverage, so they had to delay it to the fall.
Okay. So I gather that, in other words, it's gonna be more finite with respect to the more urbanized areas as opposed to.
Right, so whenever you look at the imagery, like the imagery behind you, you have pixels. So each pixel will be 3 inches ground pixel in the urban areas, and then the rural areas will be a 9-inch ground pixel.
All right, so everybody, you should let us know so we can all look up and smile.
Yeah, well, I can let you know when they start flying.
Makeup in
Read
here.
your license plate.
Calling my hairstylist.
Okay.
Any other questions for Justin? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, item number 8.
I will still make the motion for the appointment of Mayor Tim Scott to fill the vacancy at the Cumberland County Municipal Authority Board. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on this appointment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Item number 9, Commissioner Liaison Reports.
I have 2 items. Drug and alcohol vet on May the 7th. Certainly, what continues to be the overwhelming theme is the need for more treatment funding. And on June the 3rd in Shippensburg at 55 West King Street, I have a notice of a town hall meeting. The panelists are going to be law enforcement, drug and alcohol officials, representatives from the RACE project, and the coroner that's going to begin at 7 p.m. to talk about the opiate abuse and prevention and outreach. CCAP Governance Committee, actually there are 3 things, are going to begin holding weekly conference calls on 911 and where that legislation is or is not moving out of the General Assembly. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for Commissioner Frost? Commissioner Herzog?
Okay, well, following our workshop 2 weeks ago, I did attend the grand opening of the new Ranch Creek Place Senior Activity Center in Shippensburg. Secretary of Aging Teresa Osborne made her second visit to Cumberland County since being nominated by our new governor to attend this event. And numerous other local and state officials were on hand, including Representative Rob Kaufman and representatives from Senator Alloway's office and also from Representative Keller's office, and also a number of locally elected municipal officials. And I know my 2 colleagues, had some conflicts in their schedules that precluded their attendance, but I hope they do have an opportunity to get out and visit Ranch Creek Place. It's a tremendous facility for our seniors, and our seniors are very into the Shippensburg area are very appreciative of their new home.
I think the secretary got confirmed.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, I missed that.
Yeah,
but,
she did.
when that happened over the past couple of days.
Mhm.
In any event, all three of our commissioner colleagues from Franklin County were there. County Commissioner Dave Keller, Bob Thomas, and Bob Zabrowski. And again, I would just encourage you, if you get an opportunity to go down and take a look, because this is really a testament to what can be accomplished. It may seem small in the big picture, but it can be accomplished when we work across municipal lines, work across county lines, and work across political lines. That when everybody works together, you can get things done. And I was very privileged to be a part of helping to steer this project to fruition. I attended last Wednesday's Emergency Service Action Panel meeting. There was a complete update of our restructuring of the 911 call answering dispatch center, along with a briefing on the advancement of our silent dispatch proposal, which I believe is also going to be a topic of discussion this evening at the municipal advisory board.
East Apple was well attended.
Yeah,
I mean, there were a lot of people there.
no, we had a good group there, and toward the end, there was a brief discussion of the status of our fire training grounds for our volunteers, emergency service first responders along Army Heritage Drive. I understand we're going to have a further discussion about this in the near future. This has been something that's been in limbo for quite some time, and I've got a couple ideas that I'm researching along with our Director of Public Safety to see how we might be able to make this work financially, hopefully with little or no additional cost to the county. The Local Emergency Planning Committee met last Thursday night. I was not able to be there last Thursday evening, but they are working on some mostly technical updates to their bylaws. And their next meeting now isn't until October, but hopefully they will be concluded with their update to the bylaws by that time. Also in the near future, we should be seeing a recommendation from the committee to fill the law enforcement representative vacancy on the panel. I understand a member of the Norfolk Southern Police has stepped forward as a volunteer to fill that committee vacancy. The Housing and Redevelopment Authority boards met last Friday. In addition to a series of mostly administrative actions, there was an updated discussion regarding the ongoing challenge of meeting the demand for low-cost housing for low-income residents in our county. With limited funding from the Federal Housing and Urban Development Administration, there are now more than half as many income-eligible citizens not receiving housing choice voucher assistance as there are those who are receiving assistance. In other words, while nearly 1,300 individuals and their families are receiving housing choice voucher rental assistance, the waiting list of income-eligible folks seeking such aid is now 685 income in the county. So that's all I have for now.
Just one comment, there was a meeting of the External Advisory Board down at Public Safety last night, which includes a number of the fire chiefs. There was also discussion about the training facility, and a couple of the chiefs sort of stepped up and are thinking about putting together a strategy group to figure out not only how to address some of the short position at a facility. Evidently, there's a ambivalence about using ag facilities, which are good facilities. It's just, but anyway, I don't want to get into the detail, but I'll definitely put them in touch to discuss your ideas.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Any other questions for Commissioner Hartsburg? Commissioner Engelberg.
Okay, just a few brief items. We have, Monday will be asking for action on a appointment to the recycling and waste authority. You'll recall last month Bill Knighton resigned and accepted his resignation. They've gone through their selection process and should have been provided just for Harris Short, Harris Short from Kingsburg, which we have waste very enthusiastic about. library system, 4 meetings this week, a number of quick items to update. Summer reading program is going to be getting obviously in full swing here with the onset of summer. There is a bit of a glitch with their evaluation software, so they make an unexpected purchase there, and it's created a couple of hiccups, but nothing that should be major. They've outlined the assessment project or the evaluation project for the end of the season to evaluate the success of the summer reading program. Which I'll get an update on that. We're going to do some 2 online surveys. One is a state mandated survey of children and their opinions about the library. There's also an outcome survey that the American Library Association, Public Library Association, has designed, and we'll be putting that to use. That was all this. The PLA survey was developed by the Gates Foundation. It's a widely respected instrument. There's some evaluation going on, some new online reference databases. The library staff's in the process of that. We'll see those roll out in the near future. Continuing the process of consensus building regarding evaluation of the future library's direction and support for that, public support for that. That next step is the meeting or series of meetings between the library directors and chief clerk, COO, in terms of developing the vision, future plan for the library system. Those recommendations will be presented at the meeting on July 22 at the Boston. They have provided an online survey to each of the library board members that are working through that process now. That will provide the basis for this series of discussions.
The survey is not posted.
It's not.
Discussion.
Okay, so there's still some revisions being done.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be first.
Okay. First vision planning meeting June 8th, according to this. Also, there was an evaluation done. They were proud of the fact Bonnie Powers, who's the district consultant for the capital area libraries, did an evaluation regarding some of the technical processes for the library system. And provided a series of recommendations, some of which they've already implemented, and the main goal for that is to improve the turnaround time for the materials, and they are reporting a 72% improvement in turnaround times. So that's a great benefit to those who are looking to borrow materials. So I'm sure we'll have some additional items that will be implemented over the coming weeks and months. We have received a copy of the legislative priorities that the Tourism Visitors Bureau has developed through their planning process. I believe a copy of that was provided. I'll just list them off very quickly here. The reform of the hotel tax law in Pennsylvania, the enhancement of funding for public and private infrastructure development, restoration of funding to the loan programs through the Industrial Development Authority, and general improvement of the regulatory and tax climate in Pennsylvania. Lots of recommendations floating around how those things should go. Also, enhancement of partnerships for regional economic development performance and support of innovative training initiatives. 2 or 3 other items, but those are the main ones. Happy to provide copies of that if anyone's interested. Also, there was, last week there was meeting of the Policy and Planning Committee. One of their responsibilities is the continued development of the strategic plan for the agency that will feed into the county's comprehensive plan. So they did a first step analysis on the first draft. That process will be continuing, and they're going to continue getting input from Penn State on some of the research data that they provided, so ensure that data is being interpreted correctly. Let's see. Also, this Friday, May 22, there's an open house. I think all public officials have been invited to the new Lint chocolate facility down here off Logistics Drive. See if you're on 81, you can see a big sign up. You usually see these warehouses are pretty faceless, but this one's got a nice eye-catching sign to let you know the type of facility that's in there. They have some of their senior folks, their USA folks, are going to be in attendance. It's noon on Friday at their facility. Public officials are invited to attend and check out their operations. So some folks can make that. I also have the update from the Planning Commission from the Planning Department on generous, it's self-explanatory. I'll be happy to provide that copies to anybody. Everything else can wait. That's it.
Questions from Commissioner Eichelberger?
Were any of the documents that you presented now on EDC a change to what we heard Wednesday afternoon at the quarterly update? Jonathan and Shireen made the presentation from.
Well, my understanding is they provided the performance, the quarterly performance report out.
And the tourism and.
Right, what we're talking.
Was there anything different?
As I understand, what I'm referring to is the strategic planning documents that came out of.
Right, they made reference to.
I don't think they provided a detailed plan that is still under development.
Any other questions from Commissioner Eichelberger?
No, the only thing I will mention is I've already been over the Lent chocolate factory outlet.
Really?
I stopped by the ribbon cutting that day, and they have a lot of nice chocolates over there. That doesn't come to anybody's surprise, I'm sure.
No surprises.
We just wish you would share next time.
No surprises.
Well, in any event, at noon on Friday, they're having lunch. I missed that one. but-
There's an email out this morning.
Okay, I'll look for it. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Item number 10, report of an executive session held May 13, 2015 at 2:40 p.m. regarding personnel issues. Item number 11, request for an executive session regarding personnel issues. And that brings us to number 12, other business.
Larry, I'd like to bring something up if I could. And I've shared this with a copy of it with my two commissioner colleagues, and I understand we all have certain liaison responsibilities, but all three of us have been involved over the past number of months in attending these, the forums, the consensus building forums with respect to the future of our county library system. And one of the things that was asked of each one of us at the last forum was whether or not we would advocate with our legislators on behalf of the restoration of state funding for our public libraries. And I believe all of us either said yes or nodded our heads. And what I'm going to propose on Monday is that we kind of like formalize that in the way of a resolution. And I've come up with a draft resolution that I've worked with Janelle Dar, who's the executive director of our library system, and also had some conversations with our chief clerk on as well. And essentially what this document does, or this resolution does, is it points out the why. Why should the state, increase or restore its funding to the Cumberland County library system and to libraries, across Pennsylvania for that matter. And I think it's important to point out, and these are facts, that within the past 30 years, since the inception of the county library tax in Cumberland County, that there has been more than a 1,000% increase in county public taxpayer support for our library system. In fact, 1,176% increase from $253,247 in 1986 before the county designated voter-approved library tax went into effect, to a total of $3,230,794 in the past year. That represents $3 coming from our property taxpayers out of every $4 of public taxpayer support. Also, it's important to point out that a lot of the reasons that our library system is faced with the financial pressure that it is today is because of the dramatic decline, in state support that has occurred here just since 2008. In fact, a cumulative reduction to our library system in state funding support of $4,376,587. And then you say, oh, okay, so these are mostly community-based libraries. Why is the state doing any of this? Well, consider the fact that there's probably about 15 pages of state regulations, guidelines, and mandates that our library systems have to follow, and also consider the fact that our libraries provide at no charge to out-of-county residents who want to come and visit our libraries and take advantage of the materials. Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have access, but I'm saying that the state ought to be providing its fair share of support for those residents who come from outside of our county to use our facilities. In fact, the data shows that at least 16% of our library patrons in Cumberland County come from outside of Cumberland County. So in any event, the governor's budget calls for an increase in state support for education. And, you know, part of what he's proposing, in addition to increased state support from education, is to shift more of the burden off the backs of our homeowners, our property taxpayers, onto the state, where the responsibility belongs. Again, you go back, look at the Constitution. It says the General Assembly shall provide for a thorough and efficient system of public education to serve the needs of the Commonwealth. And yet, most of the funding to fund our schools is currently in the backs of our property owners, including our fixed income seniors. But now I'm getting off the subject. The fact is that if you're going to increase funding for education, and I think the state should, and also reduce the burden on property taxpayers, I think we also ought to take a look at our library system. All right? These are year-round institutions of learning that serve the young and old, and they nurture our preschool children and get them ready for school. So there ought to be, and inexplicably, the governor's budget does not include an increase in funding for our libraries. So the resolution that I'm going to ask my colleagues to consider to approve on Monday just simply says that the state ought to restore its state funding cuts, especially in the area with respect to the statewide library card reimbursement, to help pay for those folks who use our system, who come from outside of Cumberland County. And we know that there's a lot of other budget priorities that our General Assembly is going to have to grapple with. But I think it's important to remember that when we talk about county public support for our library system, we've had a 1,176% increase in county funding in just the past 30 years. And I think our county property taxpayers have done their job. Now, I would like to see the General Assembly step forward with the fairer revenue mechanisms that they have to help provide their fair support as well. So I would just ask my colleagues to fairly consider this resolution. I hope we can unanimously endorse this at our meeting on Tuesday, day after Labor Day. Thank you.
Any questions, comments for commissioners? Any other comments or other business?
Other business, again, not as a correction, but the courthouse will be closed on Monday. It is Memorial Day, in recognition of those men and women who have sacrificed for the freedoms of this country. On the website are a list of Memorial Day commemorations, and would encourage everyone in the county to make the effort to at least attend one. So that's all the other business that I have. Is there any other business?
All right, hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.